easy ways to practice. And so we want to get English practice in our daily life. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't like doing difficult practice. Like if I don't want to study Chinese and like study really, really hard, because we're all tired from work and play and doing fun stuff that we want to practice, but you don't want to like go crazy and work like you're in high school again, right? So let's talk about some easy ways to practice our English. And then along the way, I'm going to give you some tips to do these things in a way that will help you in the best way, okay? So we've talked about some of these things before, but it's good to practice and review, and I'll give you some extra tips. So first up, reading, of course. Everybody knows, oh, I need to read to study English or learn English. Why? Well, because there are some benefits. We can learn vocab in context. A lot of you in middle school and high school got a list of vocabulary words, and your teacher just said, oh, learn this list of words. That's terrible. That's the worst way to learn new words. What you should do is learn words in context, meaning that you're learning a vocabulary word in a sentence or in a story, and that will help you understand the word. It will help you remember the word, okay? Another benefit of reading is you can enjoy a story. So you're not just learning new words and practicing English, you're having fun with a cool story. Also, you can learn new topics. Maybe you read a book about the history of England, and so you learn something too, right? You're practicing, learning vocab, and learning ideas too. Now, if you choose a big novel, like a heavy book, you're probably going to go, oh, geez, I'm too tired already. 300 pages is too much. So what you can do is read a short story. So I want to read novels, like even in English. For me, reading a novel in English is too much. And then for you, it's even harder. So reading a novel is kind of a big challenge, right? So I think you should read short stories. This is what I do because it's a good way to start reading again. And why? Well, a short story is usually between 20 and 50 pages. So it's kind of a lot, but not too bad. You could read a book that's 20 or 50 pages, no problem. If I gave you a 400-page novel, you might faint, and fall down. So short stories, the benefit is that they're short, 20 to 50 pages. You can see over here, there's one short story that's only 16 pages. Here's another that's like 20 pages. The longest one is about like 60 or 70 pages. And so you can choose to start with the short ones. And then if you feel good, move to a bigger one, right? So I really recommend short stories. And then the benefits, you get all the benefits of reading a novel. You get all those good things that you would get from a novel, but it's just shorter. And you can finish it faster, so it's achievable. We talked about SMART goals a long time ago. And when you make goals for yourself, things you want to do, you want to make sure they're achievable, something you can finish. If a book's 500 pages, you might give up. But if it's 20, you can tell yourself, I know I can do this. And so then you can achieve it, and then you get a sense of accomplishment. This is a feeling of success. So 成就感, the sense of accomplishment. You feel good. Maybe it was only 22 pages, but you did it. You finished. And so a short story is an awesome choice. That's my strong recommendation for reading practice. Another I think I've talked about before is reading manga. Manga means Japanese comic books. I read manga to practice Chinese. I think you should do this to practice English. There are many, many kinds of manga, so you can definitely find a story you like. Okay, what are the benefits? Well, the art helps you understand the context. If you're reading something and you're confused, look at the picture and it can help you understand what's going on, right? So that's a great tool. Also, it's mostly dialogue. Dialogue means characters talking to each other. So most of it is talking, right? And so you can learn how people speak. Now, it's not always exactly how people speak in regular life, but it's closer than in a novel. Novels and short stories use lots of interesting, complicated language. Comic books will be dialogue, so it's closer to how people really talk day by day. Another thing is that they're fast-paced. You can read a comic book really quickly, right? Even if it's English, you could finish one in like maybe a half hour or something. And so that goes back to that sense of accomplishment, the feeling that you finished something, the feeling that you succeeded, right? So if they're quick, they're easy to read. So I strongly recommend this. Now, here's one website you could try. You don't want to buy all your manga because that can get expensive. But this website called Manga Dex, Manga Dex is a pretty cool website that you can find lots of free comics. Just need to find the comic you like this is called Rurouni Kenshin. It's very famous. And then you scroll down and find the English flag. There will be an English flag, and you know that's in English. If you see a Spanish flag, you'll know it's in Spanish, okay? Be careful. Some of the comics on here are like, well, there's a lot of different manga. Some of it's maybe 18 plus or something. So just be careful. Find something you know you want to try to read. And I think we've said before, you can go on Wikipedia to find the English names for different stories, right? So, yeah, you can find Rurouni Kenshin or something like it and try reading that. So, when you're reading and reading in English, I have a couple tips for you. Now, some students will think, oh, even if it's a 20-page short story, there's so much. I spend 1 hour on one page. Well, what you can do, just try to take it easy, relax, and here are some tips. First, don't look up every new word. If you see a new word, maybe you want to pull out your phone and Google what it means. But if you do that for every new word, you might have like 10 or 20 new words on every page. And if you're working hard, you can do it. But if you want to try to take it easy, don't worry about it. What you can do is guess meanings using context. So if you see a new word, just guess what it means. You don't need to know exactly what every word is. And guessing will be usually close enough. And so you guess using context. That means using the words around it. So if someone said, oh, for lunch today, I ate a verpadapurupada, and it was delicious. Do you know what that word is? No, it's ridiculous. But you know, oh, it must be some kind of food because they said, I had that thing for lunch. It was delicious. Okay, it's a kind of food. Then you can guess what it means and just keep going. Don't worry about it, right? We're talking about easy ways to practice. Now, my recommendation is if you see a word 2 times and you can't guess, look it up. So if you see the word again and you don't know what it is, Like, you can't guess, oh, I skipped it, but now I see it again. Maybe you should look it up. Because then you're like, I can't even guess what this means. Then you should maybe check it. But if you can guess, just keep on going. It's okay. But my recommendation is if you see a word 3 times, then don't just guess. Maybe you should look it up to make sure. Now, why? I think it's good to guess words and just keep on moving. That way you can read faster. But if you see the same word 3 times, that might mean it's kind of an important word. And so you can guess what it means, but if you see it 3 times, maybe you're ready to, okay, now I need to make sure I'm right. Okay? So you might have an idea what it means, but you look it up to make sure, okay, got it. Okay? So this is how I read Chinese. If I see a word I don't know, I just guess what it means and keep on going. If I see it again, I'll think about it and be like, okay, I think I know what it means. Let's keep going. But if I see it a 3rd time, I go, okay, now I need to be sure what it means. I will look up that word. And so I do this when reading. I think you should do it too. Okay? If you're not reading to practice, start today. Okay? Okay. So let's see. I think we can look at 1 page of this comic book just to get a feeling of how you could read it and what you should do. So at first, the order of reading this is a little funny because it's Japanese. But at first it says, Hitokiri Batosai. Now, what the heck is that? Well, you don't know. So just skip it. Right? You can maybe guess. Someone's shouting this, and then it shows this face. Okay, maybe this is a name for this person. Maybe, we don't know. But it's okay, just keep moving. Anyways, I'll give you a hint. This is not a word you need to know. This is Japanese, so you shouldn't know what this is. You shouldn't look it up. Just guess. Okay, maybe it's a name. And then we jump over here. At long last, I found you. Okay, kind of how people speak. Maybe a little bit old-fashioned, but it's still pretty close. Your 2 months of bloodshed in the streets ends tonight. Okay, I know from her face she's angry, and your 2 months of bloodshed in the street ends tonight. Maybe you don't know the word bloodshed, but okay, I know the word blood, and she says, your 2 months of bloodshed. Okay, maybe because there's a time and she's talking about him, she's angry, maybe it means he killed somebody or something. So you can kind of guess what bloodshed means and just keep on moving. Prepare yourself. So this, you can see she wants to fight. And he goes, Oro? Do you need to know what this is? No, just keep on moving. This is not really a word. But we see this word bloodshed. It's a new word. We can just guess what it means and move on because it's the only time you see that word. And then, don't play innocent with me. So maybe you're not sure about innocent. She says, don't play innocent. Well, look at his face. He doesn't look like he's scared or he doesn't look like he knows what's going on. So play innocent, maybe it means, okay, he's pretending like he didn't kill anyone. Okay, yeah. So that you can kind of guess. Who else would ignore the edict and walk around with a sword? Okay, so who else would ignore the edict and walk around with a sword? So we don't know the word edict, but maybe we can guess. Okay, he's ignoring this thing and walking around with a sword. Walking around with a sword, that sounds kind of bad. So maybe we can guess what the edict is. Maybe it's a rule or something like that. But we only saw the word 1 time, so guessing is enough. And then, shoo, do. That's just a sound. And whew, ah, dong. So he hits the fence and oh, he gets hurt. That didn't take long. Hitokiri batosai? Roroni? Well, so here's that word again. Hitokiri batosai. But there's a question mark. So before she said it and yelled at him, but now she's saying it with a question mark. So maybe it's a name for someone, but she doesn't really know. We don't need to know yet too. So there are parts of things, sometimes you see words that you don't know. You're not supposed to know them. So sometimes it's better to just guess and keep on going. If you Google these things, you'll get even more confused because in the story, you shouldn't know what hitokiri is in Roroni. They'll tell you later, okay? So that's just an example from reading and some advice of just guess. Don't worry about what the word means. Just keep on moving, okay? Now, what else? What's another easy way to practice? So we talked about reading and reading short stories in manga and some tips. Like just don't look up everything, guess, and then look up words if you see it more than once or maybe 3 times. But we can also practice listening skills, right? And I think we've talked about some of these before, but it's good to remind you, right? So one thing to do is try listening to podcasts. Now, this is difficult and they're really long, but I think you should try once in a while. And because there are so many podcasts out there, they're really popular in America, you can find a podcast that's exactly about what you like, okay? So, what are the benefits of listening to podcasts? Well, they're natural, conversational English. A lot of podcasts are 2 or 3 people just talking to each other. And so it's how people really have conversations. And so if you want supernatural English, a podcast is the best way to learn it. Don't search for Learn English podcast. Don't do that. Find a podcast about something you like, okay? And you can listen to a podcast and learn something new. Maybe you learn about the news, or learn about fashion, or learn about travel, or learn stories, or learn about science, anything. You can learn something new. Another good thing about podcasts is you can put in your headphones and go for a walk. This is what I do. I listen to a podcast and go for a walk in the city. Or I go for a bike ride because I have headphones that are safe to wear when I ride a bike. So you can practice when you're on the move. Or if you're on the MRT, you can listen to a podcast when you're traveling to work or going to meet your friends. Even if it's like 5 minutes, you can listen to a little bit and get some practice. So these are great. Now, how do you find what to listen to? You could go to this website called Chartable. Chartable has podcast charts, and they show some of the most popular ones. Just choose United States of America, choose a category you like, maybe comedy, or like this, society and culture, and find one that sounds interesting. This American Life, they tell stories about life in America. Stuff you should know, they teach you new things. So just try out a podcast that sounds cool, okay? Just give it a shot. Now, also for listening, music. You should be listening to English music or American music. And music is an amazing way to practice your listening skills. Why? Well, again, it's natural conversational English. Really, you might be surprised, but a lot of songs, the English they use in the songs is how people really speak. Like, heaven only knows where you are now. People actually might say this. So this might be hard for you, but it's an idiom that people really use. People say heaven only knows. That means like, I don't know, nobody knows, only heaven, only God knows where you are. So you'll learn real English and tricky idioms that people really use. And because it's in a song, you can figure out what it means. Heaven only knows where you are now. That means I don't know where you are. No one knows. Okay? Again, you can practice when on the move. You can listen to music as you're walking and actually try to listen to the words sometimes. If you want to know the words, this picture, this screenshot I took in Spotify. If you use Spotify, right on the page for the song, when you're listening to the song, you can see the lyrics and it moves with the song. It's really cool. And so that would be good for you to read along, and you should try to sing along too. That's good for your speaking too. If you can sing a song, that will help your speaking. And so another benefit, music is fun to learn and listen to. Okay? So I strongly recommend listening to music and try reading the lyrics as you listen it and try to sing along. Okay? Another listening thing is some listening tips, some advice for you. If you're trying to do a podcast or music, what you could do if you want to try to speak along with it or listen closely, try to slow it down. Try 0.75x speed. So it's a little bit slower, but it still sounds natural. If you go even slower, it starts to sound strange and hard to understand. But 0.75 speed is slow, but you can understand it, but it still sounds normal. Okay? You could do that with a podcast or a song. Like I think on YouTube, you can find slowed versions of songs. Like that might help you learn the words. And then also focus on key words. When you're listening to something, you don't need to understand every single word. Just focus on the key words, the most important words. Like if somebody speaks really quickly, they might say, I'm going to go to the supermarket tomorrow. The first part was really fast, blah, 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 but you heard supermarket. So maybe you heard go in the middle too. So I'm going to go to the supermarket tomorrow. So I said, I'm going to go to the supermarket tomorrow. But you don't need to hear every word. You just need the key words, like go and supermarket. Got it? And then shadowing. This is a skill that a lot of people practice. You can repeat what was said. You can listen to the sentence and try to say the sentence too. And try to say it in the same way. If someone says, oh, that was interesting, you could repeat it. Don't say, that was interesting. Try to say it in the same way. That was interesting. And if you try to copy the way they say it, it will help your speaking. And if it's music, sing along. If you love that new Taylor Swift song, sing with her, and it'll be good practice. Okay? Now, the next easy way to practice, you might be surprised, and it's a little bit crazy, but I think it might be a good, interesting way to try. You can try a chat app. So maybe like a chat app or an online dating app. You can give it a try. Now, what you can do, I don't know if you're single or in a relationship or married, but using one of these apps doesn't mean you have to find someone to become your boyfriend or girlfriend. You can just chat with people. You could find friends on these kinds of apps. So it doesn't have to be finding a girlfriend or boyfriend. You could just find a friend to chat with, okay? Now, what are the benefits of a chat app? Well, you can practice chatting with real people. So instead of just listening, you can actually type and talk to people. And so that would be a good way to use your English. And some of the chat apps are text. You could practice your typing. Some of them you can speak and talk to the app. So you can even do video calls in some of these apps. Just be safe, but you could give it a try. And along the way, because you're talking to people from other countries or other cultures, you can learn about different cultures. If you chat with somebody from France, but you're using English, maybe you can learn about life in France. It's pretty cool. And then you can use these to make new friends. And that's great. We always should be trying to reach out, meet new people, and have a good time, right? And maybe if you're interested, if you're single, maybe you can find love. Ooh, wow. So you don't have to look for love, but maybe if you want to, you can find love while you're practicing your English. Like, oh, I'm just doing this to practice English. Oh, wow, I fell in love. What a nice surprise. So what are some chat apps you could try? Well, the most famous one is Tinder. This one is mostly about dating, right? And so if you want to use something like this for practicing your English, you have to be very careful because people will use this to find love. So you have to be very clear on your profile. And if you text someone, make sure they know you just want to be friends. But if you use Tinder, you can also just find these two parts. You can try Let's Be Friends and Coffee Date. These are more just casual sections where you can say, okay, I just want to be friends. I'm not looking for love. So it's a good way to find people to chat with. Just be clear that you're not there for dating. Okay? Another popular app for this is called OkCupid. Cupid is the god of love. So remember, it's mostly for finding love, boyfriends and girlfriends. But again, you can change the settings. You can go into connections and choose new friends. So you can go on here and chat with people. Just make sure you tell them, I'm only here to meet friends. I don't want to go on a date. Okay? And then also, one interesting thing about OkCupid is you can try to answer fun questions. This could help you practice your reading, and maybe it's kind of interesting. And then answer these questions if you agree or disagree, and then it will show the percentage how similar you are to people. Maybe you can find a friend that thinks in the same way as you. Okay? Another app you could try is Bumble. Bumble, again, is a dating app, but there's a mode called BFF mode. And BFF means best friends forever. So you can go on Bumble and choose the setting and say, I am not looking for any dating. You can say, no dating for me, only friends. You put it in BFF mode. And that way, you don't even have to worry about people getting confused. It'll only show people who want to just be friends. So you can use this to make new friendships. And these two ladies get chatting and she says, hi, I'm new to town. Do you have any recommendations? And the friend says, welcome to the city, blah, 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 blah. So you can use this just to meet friends and chat with people. Okay? So I think this is an interesting way to practice your English. Just be clear that you're only looking for friends or like to practice your English. So some chat app tips. I think this is a great way to practice your speaking and your writing, but here's some tips. Be clear about what you're looking for. If you're only looking to chat, only looking to practice English, make sure you write it in your profile. Make sure the person knows at the beginning, because you don't want them to think, oh, I really like this person, I can take them out for dinner. But you say, I don't want to meet ever. Make sure you're clear about it. And be honest and direct. Say exactly what you want. If you are looking for a meet in person, tell them why. I want to meet just to be friends and chat. Or if you want to meet for a date, say it. Be honest and direct, right? Another tip, if you decide you do want to meet someone, if you want to meet someone in person, make sure it's a public place. Like go to a coffee shop or something like that. Just be extra safe. And then another tip is have fun. So don't worry about impressing people. Just try to be yourself, be casual, have some fun. But yeah, just be clear about what you're looking for and be honest. Because a lot of people are on these apps looking for love. If you're only there to practice your English, make sure you tell them right away, okay? But if you are looking for love, that's fine too. So I think that's a fun, interesting way to try practicing your English, okay? So yeah, those are some easy ways to practice your English, and I gave you some tips to help you out. So we talked about reading and that you should try short stories in manga, and don't look up every word. You should just guess what they mean. Only look them up if you see them many times. Then we talked about trying to listen to podcasts and music. You can learn lots of new things and also learn some natural English and have some fun while you're on the go. Maybe if you're walking or driving your car or on the MRT, you could listen to something. And then chat apps are a good way to actually use your English. You could type, practice reading, and use natural English, how people really have conversations. And just be clear that you're there to chat, or clear what you want from that relationship or that friendship. So I think we can stop here for today. We talked about a lot of different easy ways to practice, some interesting stuff, and hopefully you guys had a good time. Thanks everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.